I know some of you are eager to see how the Daytona's going, and I haven't been working on it lately, but my Stealth is somewhat of a daily driver in the summer, and I've got maybe a month, maybe two if I'm really lucky that I can still use it, and it needs some real work before I keep driving it. So the motor mounts on this thing are gone. They've been gone for a long time, and I have some new motor mounts. Also, all the bushings in the whole front end of the car, I'm pretty sure are toast. So I bought all new poly bushings for it. And so I want to get all that stuff done. I was going to wait and yank the engine and do an upgraded clutch, bigger turbos, bigger injectors, and push for probably 500 all-wheel horsepower would be kind of the goal. But I'm going to wait. I don't really have the funds right now to do that with everything else I have going on. And so I'll probably be doing that in February, maybe. And that's when I'll do the build. But for now, I need to do the motor mounts and such. And I'll show you a little bit about that and what's going on. Now, just to give you a little bit of an idea of just how bad these motor mounts are. This is the, I don't know what you call it. Maybe you call it the left motor mount. I call the one back here, the back, the front, transmission. I don't know what we want to call this one. But anyways, it's completely torn all the way around. I don't know if you can see that. And even peeling up the edge. Now, this is the motor mount that really probably is the last to go bad. And I've known that my rear one has been gone for a long time. And now the front one is probably also toast. And if this one looks that bad, the transmission one's probably pretty bad too. But luckily, I have all new mounts. I'm going to start by stripping off all the intake, the battery box, see what I have to work with. If I have to yank the engine to make it easier, I'll yank it, because I can pull this whole motor in less than 3 hours. Alright, you can see I got some of the intake out. And I don't know if you can see that from here. Let me grab a light. So I can now see at least 2 bolts for that lower motor mount. And the other side's going to be probably even more difficult though. This side's actually pretty easy. I've got those 2, and then there's 2 on the other side. So we're getting somewhere. Let me tear apart more of the intake. I may pull the front radiator to do the front mount. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, I think I have to get those other bolts from below. but we'll see. All right, I was really easily able to get 2 bolts out of that mount. You can't see anything, sorry about that. But anyways, so the bolts on this side are out. I still got to do the other side, but I'll probably do that maybe from underneath. I looked from this side and I couldn't see anything down in there, so hopefully I can get them from underneath. I might have to pull the downpipe or something out of the way to do it. The transmission mount's easy. That's really easy to get to. Just gotta get in the wheel well and get the bolts out. The front mount, I can see, sorry, you can't see anything, but I can see that looks like that's gonna be fairly easy to get from down below. This one's obviously easy. So right now, I'm gonna get the car up in the air because I left it down so I could do all the upper work without it being up in the air. Time to jack it up, see what I have to work with. All right, well, I'm getting pretty close to wrapping this up. The rear motor mount on these, you can't see it very well, sorry. You can see kind of the new base of it there. So anyways, I would never do it again without pulling the motor. So right now, the only thing holding in the engine is the axles, some hoses, and I would have to pull the radiator. Other than that, I basically have done everything you'd have to do to remove the engine and make the whole job a whole lot easier, which was my original plan if I was going to do the clutch and turbos and everything, but not doing that right now. So one bolt on here on the back that would not, you can't really get to it very well. I had to get to it from underneath, and that one was the worst one. It didn't want to come out, and I actually broke it. So I have 3 bolts now in that bottom motor mount instead of 4. But yeah, 3 out of 4 ain't bad. One of them you can get. After a while, I discovered if I took off the heat shield for the rear turbo, I could use a swivel and get down and get the back bolt. So that one wasn't too bad once I figured out how to get to it. But yeah, this job sucks. Now it's just putting it back together though, so it's not so bad. You know, this mount's not that bad. The front mount, the bolts didn't really want to come out, but it really wasn't that bad. And the good news is, this is the front mount or the side mount, and it was totally junk. You can see it's completely torn, junk, and it weighs like 5 pounds more than my new aluminum one. So, a little weight reduction there. And the other mount that was bad is this rear mount. You can see it was cracked all the way across the top. So that made me feel better when I saw that. So at least I know I'm doing something. Because these are not like upgraded mounts, they're just rubber mounts. So I'm going to continue working. Sorry I didn't show you all that, but it was pretty frustrating. And trying to set up a camera and get you guys to be able to see what I was doing wasn't going to really work out. Pretty tight spot to work in. But continue on. All right, the car is all back together. I've driven it to work the past 2 days, and it drives a whole lot better. Couple things I left out that I thought you should know is that to change these motor mounts, I had to actually pull the downpipe because one of the center bolts for the front mount, you couldn't get the center bolt out without pulling the downpipe. Also, the downpipe coming out made it a little bit easier to get that bolt on that rear mount that was just a real pain. And then the other thing I had to do was I had to drop the transfer case out of it in order to jack the engine up enough to get the rear mount out, because the way the mountain brackets go across the mount, there's no room to get the mount out. So that was another thing I had to do. So let me just kind of show you how it went. As you can see, it's all back together, running and driving. And here is that aluminum front motor mount that I swear it feels like I lost like probably 5 pounds in weight reduction from changing to that mount than the stock one. I guess the second generations came with one like that. These motor mounts were made by 3SX, and I highly recommend them because they fit perfectly. You know, aside from all the struggles I went through, they're just a rubber repop mount, nothing special. So they're basically like OEM, but I think they were like 180 bucks. They were on sale. So yeah, I like that. Couple things though, nothing to do with the job I just did, except for one thing. So when I was putting this all back together, I found a wire that I cut at one point, maybe from jacking the engine or something. I'm not sure how I did it. And it was a long wire, and I kind of just, it was like almost 9 o'clock at night when I was done, and I wanted to take it to work the next day. So I just kind of stuffed the wire down in there and figured, well, I'll figure out what it is. And figured that out pretty quickly, that it was the speedometer wire. So I've got to fix that because the speedometer doesn't work. Luckily, I know this car pretty well and almost don't need a speedometer, but it's nice to have. And then another thing, two other big things. So one of them is I've got really, really bad lash adjusters in this. At least I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Let me start it up and see if I can show you that. See if you can hear it. Doesn't always do it. Of course, right now it doesn't sound so bad. Oh yeah, I can hear it pretty good. Hear that? Tick, 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 tick. But sometimes it sounds way bad. So to cure that problem, I have, so what I have here are some new lash adjusters. These are the big bore, like the 99 lash adjusters. Got a set of those from Ninja Performance. And Chris Hill, the owner of Ninja, he has these made specifically for him to his specs. And so I'm going to change those. Thinking about tearing it apart. Maybe tonight, we'll see. And then I also have new front control arm bushings. So these are the rear two bushings. See, I got sawdust all over me. I just got done cutting up some wood, cutting down a tree, and yeah, so I'm covered in sawdust. And then I also got new poly bushings for the cross member. And it's more than just that. I think it's also the subframe mounts for the rear. Comes with all kinds of stuff. Yeah, so that will be another video. I'll probably end this video right about now and start recording the other one because this one's already long enough for me for this job. But the motor mounts worked out. They came out good.